Hare Krishna, welcome to the Friday program. We'll start with the prayers. Okay, Samada, you can start the.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Sumedha. Can you share the screen? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Let's do the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutakkalpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much for joining Manjula Mataji, Brajakumar Prabhu, Drishti. Philip Ramlal Prabhu and Anil Prabhu. Okay, today's topic is how do we overcome the anxiety and depression. As we know that, most of the world nowadays in this Kali Yuga, people are going through lots of anxiety, starting from the children to the, it goes peak into the teenage and younger age. And again, it coming to the elderly, single. We see this anxiety and depression is sort of a everyday word. It's not something new. So many times we see children suffering, teenagers suffering, adults suffering, youth suffering, and elderly suffering. So how can we overcome? How can we prevent? And when that situation comes, how we can overcome this situation? How can we deal with that situation? That is, the governments are spending a lot of money. Still, the problem is persisting all over the world. So that distress, the significant distress that people cannot share with someone, and then suffering on their own, that we see. And it's a statistics that 1/3 of population is on the antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication. So it is not wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong to be on medication or it's not wrong to suffer from the issues, because the material world is such that people will go through these problems. And when there is problem, it's important to take the help. That is most important. It's just like, the physical illness, how the people take help. When there is something distressing, it's better to take the help. But there is a higher way of dealing with these issues. It doesn't mean that we should not take the routine channels. It doesn't mean that routine channels not to use them. So it's just giving a higher perspective of how one can deal with it. So let's say we have this Gita Jayanti coming on 14th of December, Ekadashi, and that's the day Bhagavad Gita is spoken. So let's take the perspective. So how Bhagavad Gita helps us to free from this anxiety and depression. So let's start with the shloka. Just 1 second. So this is the verse 28 of first chapter. So I'll recite the verse. Arjuna uvacha drishtavemam swajanam Krishna yuyutsam samupasthitam Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati. Can you read the translation?
Arjuna said, "Why do you in my friends as a I feel the limbs of my body.
So seeing the friends and relatives present in the battlefield in a fighting spirit, Arjuna has having a severe breakdown sort of. Yeah, he was saying that his body is quivering and mouth is drying up. And if we go to the next one, he describes a little bit further. 1 second. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. So, stop saying this. So, how many of us experience this sort of symptoms, whether to certain extent or up to the extent of Arjuna felt? You can raise your hands or you can put thumbs up in this digital era. So did anybody feel like that? Like how Arjuna felt at any time at all? Body is shaking and may not be to that extent. Yeah. Sumit said yes. Sumadra Radhika Mataji said yes. Yeah. So anybody felt how Arjuna felt similar to that? Yeah. So everybody, including me, there will be some distressing the conditions that are so fearful or distressing, or we feel that we cannot cope. So when that scenario comes, how Arjuna dealt with it, we usually turn to the friends, parents, if they are supportive, or someone we think who can help, we can turn to them. But often we see, despite there are people, sometimes you feel it's a situation that nobody can help as well. Like when Gajendra, everybody knows the story, pastime of Gajendra. When Gajendra was in the clutches of crocodile, his family was with him. So there are so many other elephants were there, but nobody, they tried to help him, but nobody could help him. So that is the nature of the world. Though people are there, sometimes they cannot help as well, despite they try to help. So that is the scenario that Arjuna such in so much distress, he's not able to function. So let's see how Arjuna dealt the scenario. So let me share the screen again. So this is that by the end of the first chapter, this is Arjuna's situation. Sanjaya said, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows, sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So that is the scenario, how Arjuna felt so overwhelmed. So, and this is how Arjuna started coping. This is first step. This is the second chapter. 7th verse. Karpanya doshopahatasvabhavaha pruchhami tvam dharma sammudhachetaha yacheya swasyanishchitam bruhi tanme शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Does anybody would like to read the translation?
I'll read Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for volunteering.
Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So now Arjuna first acknowledged that his condition, he's not pretending that, oh, I can cope, I don't need any help or anything like that. He recognized that, he's confused and he lost his composure. And the second thing he said, I'm asking to tell me for certain what is best for me. So he asked Krishna, tell me what is the best thing I can do. And most important thing, he said, I am your disciple, soul surrender unto you. Please instruct me. So many times we see that people, when they are in trouble, they just like go here and there to see it's like go to different people to get different advice, but that is not wrong again. But when they think that they can get certain advice, they should take the advice. It's not that, just, oh, I want to see what these people say. So it's Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. So like Arjuna, we should surrender to Krishna. Let's read the purport, and it's really nice rather than me explaining it. Anybody would like to read this purport?
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yes, Manjula. Is it Soumya or Manjula?
It's myself, Mataji.
Hari.
By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literature advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse.
Hari Mata.
Shall I continue?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In the Brahma Aranyaka Upanishad, the perplexed man is described as follows. Yo va eta aksharam gargi aviditvasmal lokat praiti sa kripanaha. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human, and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. This human form of life is the most valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is a Brahmana, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all the problems of life. Ya etad aksharam gargi vidivatasami lokat praiti sa brahmanaha. The kripanas, or the miserly persons, waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. In the material conception of life, one is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children, and other members, on the basis of the skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death, or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals, who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that this affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the cause of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still on account of miserly weakness, he could not discharge the duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to make a definitive solution. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself, and yet foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is a difference between Krishna's within and without.
There is no difference.
There is, no difference between Krishna's within and without. And one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
So this is Arjuna first contemplated. We see that in Srimad Bhagavatam also, when there is a problem, Vyasdeva was feeling a bit morosed, and he was contemplating. Similarly, he was contemplating, and when he was contemplating, he thought, I think this is because I did not broadcast the glories of the Lord Krishna. And then that is the time when he was contemplating that Narada came and gave the instructions. Yes, you need to do the literature, glorifying the pastimes of Krishna. So that contemplation is very important. When the contemplation is there, Krishna and Paramatma, he sees our attitude that, we are trying to look for the solution and looking for the Guru. And Krishna, listening to that, he guides us to a Guru or a devotee, who can help us, who can guide us through that situation, or he can give solution internally, or the circumstances, they guide us. So the some or other way, Krishna shows us the light. And the most important thing in this purport is that that surrender to Krishna, like Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. So all these family members, like we discussed, family, friends, and the society, they help to an extent, but nobody can help to after that level. That is where Krishna, it's not that we have to wait for the family to help us and then take Krishna's help, but recognizing that only Krishna is our real savior, and surrendering to Krishna, that is the way to get out of those situations. Many times, Prabhupada mentions in many of the purports, like in the 16th chapter, the divine and demoniac qualities. The first one is the divine qualities. In that verse, in those first 3 verses, Abhayam, Satvasham, Shuddhim. Prabhupada mentions that Abhayam is it's not artificial. It's not that family can help. One line stuck to my heart is that a sannyasi travels fearlessly all over the world. And the reason mentioned that he understands that only Krishna can protect him. So it's not depending on the external situations like, who can support me, who can protect me. He knows that Paramatma, Krishna is Paramatma in his heart all the time. He's his well-wisher, and he, as a friend, he is supporting him. That deep realization a devotee, the pure devotees have, that gives them naturally the fearlessness. It's not that artificial fearlessness or pretending to be fearless. So all those saintly qualities, they come when we act in the right way of the surrendering and following Krishna's instructions. So it's not a what do you say? It's not an artificial scenario. It's so natural. So natural when one surrenders to Lord and Krishna from the heart, he guides everybody. Can anybody think of any examples from the scriptures or from the real life or in the lives of devotees? How Krishna protected from the devotees when they are in distress?
Hare Krishna, yes, Mataji. I just thought of Prahlad Maharaj, and every time his own father put him in so many difficulties, every time he had so much faith on Lord Hari, and always Hari saved him.
Yes, Mataji, that is amazing. That's when Prahlad Maharaj was folding hands, when all those things happening, we would try to do the hands, something to stop that action. No, he surrendered to Krishna. He knows that Krishna takes care of him. Yeah, that's an amazing. Any other examples one can think of?
Draupadi was protected in the Kauru Sabha and also at Durvasa Muni's instance when he was coming after eating Draupadi's food. So, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Draupadi was protected when Dushasana was trying to insult her in the assembly, and also when Durvasa Muni was came when there is no food in the house. That's nice. Any other examples? No. When Uttara was when Kauravas, Ashwatthama released Brahmastra, Uttara was it was directed towards the Uttara's womb to destroy the unborn child. So Uttara was raising her hands and praying Lord Krishna. That's how Parikshit Maharaj been protected. So what about the any recent examples how the devotees are protected? When Prabhupada was constructing the temples, so many problems happen in Juhu temple. the devotees, they had trouble. It's not like Kunti Devi has been gone through the tribulations, Pandavas gone through the trials. It's not that they didn't go through the trials, but how miraculously, mystically Krishna protected the devotees to have the temple. Same with the Mayapur temple and Vrindavan temple. It's not that the problems won't be there. Problems will be there, but Krishna will pull the devotees off the problems. Yeah, even in the many devotees.
Mataji, I just wanted to ask, the demonic seem to be much, I know they don't win in the end, but they seem to be more powerful and more havoc creating through and through, though, isn't it? If you think of even the Kauravas and the Pandavas, it was Pandavas all the time who were going through the difficulties, and the Kauravas were just having a good time and creating just issues one after the other, isn't it? Though in the end, of course, they did lose, but is that meant to be in the nature of the Leela, or?
So Mataji, that's a good question actually. So Kamsa was seen to be enjoying, but if you see him, how much anxiety he has gone through. Wherever he was looking, he was seeing only Krishna out of fear. Outside, he is harassing the people, harassing the devotees, but inside, he is struggling more than anyone. And same with the Ravan. He was harassing the people, but he was struggling inside. No, I can't tolerate this human Rama. So they are not really happy. You might have seen many examples, many wealthy people, many educated people need sleeping tablets to go through the life situations. That is they appear to be have a good life, but internally they are not really peaceful. On the opposite, Pandavas going through those so many forest fire, the luck group, the house went in the fire and given the poison cakes, and then they were in the forest, but they're always peaceful and happy. So it appears that, and Prahlad Maharaj, this is the example that Sumatra Radhika Mata said. He was put through the poisonous snakes, but he is not struggling. Because he's surrendered, he is not suffering. Did that make sense, Mataji, Manjulaji?
Yes, I think it makes sense. He's not suffering. It was his father who was suffering more than him.
Exactly.
But he was being protected.
He was being protected. He's happy. He was happy, and he is happy, and in the future also he is happy. So that is the difference between the divine and demoniac nature. Actually, that is a nice chapter of 16th chapter. If you read through, how I felt it a bit like a appraisal of each individual, how much in the scale of divine to demoniac, where do we stand, like making plans, now I'll be like this, and the future I'll be like this, and in future I'll, many things, they are so nicely described. And when we read the chapter, then I felt like how much demoniac I am. So, it's Bhagavad Gita is such a, what is it, full size mirror. It shows us where we are. And then it not just showing where we are, how much dirt we have. It shows us how to make it clean also, and shows the light, the path, where to go, how to go, and the outcome of how it will be. So it's a what is it? It's a light in the life, full of light. It gives us direction at every scenario, every situation. But many times what happens that when we are distressed or anxious, we are in such a position that we cannot even get to the direction. that is natural. That is where we need a devotee friendhood. And, don't worry, these things happen. Just let's look at how other people faced, and how we can gain strength. So that's where the devotee friends association is really, really helpful, when in good times and in bad times. Okay, let's go to the next part of this. Just sharing the screen again. So this is a nice point here. The Kripanas are miserly persons, waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. in the material conception of life. One is often attached to family life, namely wife, children, and other members on the basis of skin disease. Prabhupada, how nicely he put that, the skin disease. In Bhagavad Gita, many places that we should not differentiate between people, that these are mine and these are ours and not ours. How to have that equanimous position. Many times it comes again and again and again. And the most important point is here, this one. The miserly man who does not solve the problem of life as a human, and who thus quits this world like cats and dogs without understanding the science of realization. This human form of life is one is so much fortunate to have this human form of life. It's a most valuable asset can any living entity could have. So this human form of life, one can utilize it for solving the problems of life. So therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity is miser. So when there is when we are rich and we are not enjoying it, not giving away, that is the miser. So exactly we are doing it. We have this opportunity of human form of life. If we don't utilize it to solve the problems of life, then that's a very miserliness. So next, go to the key verse of today's. This is the end of Bhagavad Gita. And after surrendering to Krishna, Arjuna listened to his instructions, and how he is at the end of Bhagavad Gita. Let's read this verse. Arjuna uvacha nashto mohasmritirlabdva tvat prasadan mayachyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Pooja Mataji, can you read the translation if you are free? Okay. Anybody would like to read the translation?
Yes, Hare Krishna, if that's okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Sure. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions.
Thank you, Mataji. So, what is the difference between the first two verses we read and this verse? He was, his mouth was drying up, his arrow was falling from his hand, and his body was shaking. He was in full of distress. And after surrendering to Krishna and listening to Krishna, Arjuna was saying that my illusion is now gone. I regained my memory. Now I'm firm and free from doubt. So there's no confusion. So he came to a position that he can act according to Lord's instructions. This purport is really nice. So we need a couple of people to read this purport. So who would like to read?
Can I read?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. The constitutional position of a living entity, represented by Arjuna, is that he has to act according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of the living entity is that of eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature, but in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes the liberated servant of God. The living entity's constitutional position is to be a servitor. He has to serve either the illusory Maya or the Supreme Lord. If he serves the Supreme Lord, he is in his normal condition. But if he prefers to serve the illusory external energy, then certainly he will be in bondage. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires, yet he thinks of himself as the master of the world. This is called illusion. When a person is liberated, his illusion is over, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme to act according to his desires. The last illusion, the last...
1 second, Mataji, I'll pass you there 1 second.
Okay.
So, Manjula Mataji, you mentioned that, that demoniac people seem to be having good time, but here it says that they look happy. They think they are happy, but they are under illusion. They are not really happy. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Mataji, carry on. Sumadhira Radhika Mataji.
Okay. The last illusion, the last snare of Maya to trap the living entity, is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul, but God. He is so unintelligent that he does not think that he were God. Then how could he be in doubt? That he does not consider. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from the illusory energy is to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and agree to act according to his order.
Carry on, Mataji.
Okay. The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of this material world, for he wants to lord it over the material nature. That is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by the mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of a pure devotee. When that illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. Should I carry on?
If anybody would like to read, or otherwise Sumadhira Mataji will read it. Is anybody other wants to read? Okay, Mataji, go ahead now.
Okay. Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order. A conditioned soul, illusioned by the external energy of matter, does not know that the Supreme Lord is the master who is full of knowledge and who is the proprietor of everything. Whatever he desires, he can bestow upon his devotees. He is the friend of everyone, and he is especially inclined to his devotee. He is the controller of this material nature and of all living entities. He is also the controller of inexhaustible time, and he is full of opulence, all opulences, and all potencies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can give himself to the devotee. One who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he understood Krishna factually. So to study Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. When Arjuna understood that it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, he agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his arrows and bows, and to fight under the
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, how do we move this bit?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Down there. Yeah. He agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire.
Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his his arrows and bow, to fight under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol Mataji, thank you so much. So, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he understood Krishna factually. So this is important. This so study Bhagavad Gita. To study Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. Arjuna understood that Krishna's plan is to reduce the population. He agrees to fight, but under the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the important of Bhagavad Gita. That's if you study Bhagavad Gita, we can understand Krishna factually, and we can understand Krishna's instruction also. What was the other point there? The point here.
Mataji, we don't have Krishna in our lives, isn't it? Whenever we are perplexed.
Stop sharing and then we can talk. Yeah. Just 1 second, Mataji. So anybody can answer that question? Krishna is not in our life.
Hare Krishna, I can try.
Yeah, go on, Mataji.
We have to put Krishna at the center of our life. So whatever we do, if we think we are doing it for Krishna, he's not away from us for a single moment. He's right here within our heart. We should try to see Krishna within everyone. And whatever we do, for example, if we go to work, we're doing it for Krishna. If we're going to prepare some food for us, we're not doing it for us. We should offer it for him. Morning, evening, if you chant his names, you do your arati, whatever you do, absolutely anything, even if you're trying to stay fit and going for a walk, you should do it for Krishna. And in that way, even if you go and chant the Lord's name when you go for a walk, you're purifying yourself as well as the atmosphere. You're giving the holy name to those who can't chant. So whatever you do, if you try and keep Krishna at the center of your life, you're not even away for a moment, because he's always going to be in your thought. So try and keep Krishna at the center of your life, and he's always going to be with us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. But Manjula Mataji's question was, Krishna is not physically with us. Isn't it, Manjula ji, you're asking? Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. What I was saying is he's with us, like Mataji very nicely explained, whatever you're doing, Krishna should be there with us. But Arjuna was more fortunate because he had him there as the Supreme Lord with him. But we have him with us as the Supreme Lord in an indirect sort of way. But yes, yeah.
But
I know.
we are even more fortunate, Manjula ji, because we have Bhagavad Gita with us all the time.
Mataji, Bhagavad Gita gives very one sentence it says go in this direction, another says go in that direction. We don't know
That
which
is the reason we should not read one sentence. We should read whole Bhagavad Gita. If there is any problem, just sit 3 hours and read whole Bhagavad Gita. Then you will get that gist of it. If we put touch here and touch there, we don't get anywhere. We should read total. For example, with our GCSE exams, didn't we read thicker books than this in one night? So yes, Mataji, yes, it's not that it's having an instant solution. It's just having little patience to understand Krishna's message.
Hare Krishna, Mataji suggests, and here Bhagavatam, it is the incarnation of Krishna. His literature is direct. Idam Bhagavatam Namu Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charita Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastaya Namaha Krishne Sudamopakate Dharma Jnanadibisa Kalavana Sadrishamesha Puranar Kwadinoditaha. So once Krishna left physically and he appeared again in the form of literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, and we need to take that shelter. So it is as there is no difference between Krishna form, name, and his qualities, activities. So as soon as you are with Srimad Bhagavatam, you are with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. That's a nice one. Even Arjuna, when he was friendly, he didn't get the advice. When he surrendered, only when you are really serious and spend time to get the solution and patiently read whole message, definitely Manjulaji we get the answer. Yasumeda.
Hare Krishna Haribol. I just wanted to say that as Prabhuji actually stole one of my points. Anil Prabhu. Yes, Krishna is Vadama Bhagade. So after Lord Krishna left his physical presence in the material world, he appears as Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's one way. Another way that Lord Krishna appeared in this age is Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. He's come in the whole form of the holy name. So if we want to stay in touch with him, we have the direct option of chanting. And we might think initially that this is like a sentimentalist kind of, it doesn't make any sense. But once the practice is there, it definitely makes a difference. And in regards with reading the Bhagavad Gita, if we read chapter 1, verse 1, and then we go all the way to 1878, we won't feel it. Or we just go Sarvadharma, we won't feel that, it makes any sense. Because we've not followed the logical chain of reasoning. And between each and every verse, there is like a nice little step that we can see how Arjuna is changing his mood, or how Arjuna is asking the next question. How is Krishna responding step by step? And so it's not just like taken as like a one thing out of context, but rather when we look at the whole thing as like a natural flow of thought, it makes it very, very clear. If we look at something just as like one verse on its own, it won't actually like hit with us or resonate. So that's why it's important that when we study it, we also go through the logic, verse by verse, step by step, seeing how Krishna first explains maybe Naishkarmya, then goes on to explain Ashtanga, then goes on to explain Bhakti as the topmost, and then goes on to complete with a little bit of understanding of Jnana. Like that kind of knowledge really makes a difference. But otherwise we won't actually feel that difference. So there's the two aspects there. There's chanting and also studying step by step.
Studying step by step with a deep, trying to understand the logic, not just reading.
Yeah. So like with trying to go beyond just simple philosophical understandings, and also trying to understand, okay, nice to see that Krishna is saying this here. How can I apply that? How can I actually do that? Not just, I've read this verse and then I'm going to read the purport and then I'll read the next verse in the purport.
Mataji, my simple understanding of Bhagavad Gita is you're a soul, it doesn't matter. He told Arjuna, you fight, and that's the crux of it. So, but that was because Krishna wanted him to fight, but we are not supposed to do that. Our purpose might be something different, isn't it? We can't do what Arjuna did.
So you are asking, should we fight?
According to Bhagavad Gita, we all should fight.
No. It's
because we are.
It's according to Bhagavad Gita. There are lots of things are there. There are things about karma yoga. There is things about jnana yoga. There is ashtanga yoga, bhakti yoga, varna, shrama dharma. So many things are mentioned there. It's not just a straightforward fight or not fight. So we should not jump into conclusion. We have to read and understand what is Krishna, what is his mood, what is the message to me. It's not just we can just read one verse and one purport and say, yes, Krishna asked me to fight. No, Krishna said, no, fighting is not good. Read through all the when a devotee, what's his qualities. Maybe perhaps I would say simple practical things in everyday life. First we have to come out of this mode of ignorance, mode of passion to mode of goodness. And that mode of goodness is not what exactly just getting up in the morning. The mode of goodness is in everything, the thinking, attitude, everything. There's lots of information about mode of goodness. And then look at this divine and demoniac qualities. We have to develop those divine qualities. Once we get those to the mode of goodness and the divine qualities, we can see Krishna's message clearly. Sometimes we cannot see, but Krishna sends his representative, or he gives the light inside us. There's no doubt about it.
Because here it was Arjuna was a householder and a kshatriya and a king, so he had his aspect to deal with, so he guided him accordingly. So everybody is an individual and they need to be guided accordingly, isn't it?
Everybody's individual, they need to be guided accordingly, but we need to learn Bhagavad Gita message as it is through a systematic study. That's where we can get the benefits of it.
Sorry, Mataji. So here, just would like to one point. See, every person has a duty according to his constitutional position. So that is called dharma. It could be a mother or a father, as a son, as a teacher. Everyone has, based on the constitutional position, they have a particular duty to carry out. Either you act on behalf of enemies or on behalf of other people. But even though you work on behalf of enemies, there also you have duty to bound. It is not that your attachment to the success or failure. You just carry out your duty. That's it, without attachment to the results of the activity.
Yes.
And so when the Krishna was saying in the 12th chapter, so the sequence of 5 points, he said, first you just surrender yourself to me and you do your bhakti to me. See, if it is not possible, then what you need to do, you work for me. Still it is not possible, you give up the results for your activities. Still it is not possible, you cultivate the knowledge. And then cultivate the knowledge. Better than the knowledge is meditation. Better than the meditation is give up the fruits of the results of your activity. And the topmost is bhakti yoga, just only work for Krishna. Yoginam api sarvesha madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yoma same yukta tame mata. So we just need to surrender ourselves to Krishna. That is the final instruction of Krishna in the 18th chapter.
Thank you, Anil Prabhu. That's really nice. It's Krishna's message is not like a McDonald's takeaway. It's like a go to the shopping, buy the ingredients, cook, and that process in Nectar of Instruction says Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairyat. We should have that enthusiasm, we should have the determination, and we should have the patience. So it's not that Parikshit Maharaj is not immediately protected. It's not automatic. Uttara has to go through the little bit of anxiety of seeing that Brahmastra coming up. So it's just when the devotees has followed Krishna's path, where are we? We should follow what is Krishna wanted us to do. So, okay, thank you so much. So with that, I think you will be ready for the move to read whole Bhagavad Gita on Tuesday.
Hare Krishna. So just a couple of quick announcements. Did you want to say something, Lalita Preeti? So tomorrow, Saturday, devotees will be gathering in Piccadilly Garden at 12 o'clock afternoon. So please support them if possible. Contact Anandarup Prabhu Vinavadini if you would like to offer any kind of support. But otherwise, you can directly go to Piccadilly Gardens to support them. On Sunday, we have Sunday peace lecture, and with the latest COVID variant, we have taken extra measures from last Sunday onwards. So in that, masks are mandatory. As you all know, you must be hearing the news and reading the newspaper, etc. So masks are mandatory. No mask, no entry into the temple. And we will be giving takeaway boxes, prasadam takeaway boxes, so there will be no eating in the temple. And also we will be spreading devotees into 3 rooms rather than putting everyone in one room and make it crowded. So it will be devotees will be asked to spread in 3 rooms. And from this on Sunday onwards, my humble request is that if you're planning to attend the temple program, it may be a good idea to take a lateral flow test, COVID test, and confirm it's negative. It would be a good idea. I'm following on the news regularly. I think it's a very good suggestion that devotees take a lateral flow test. You can get this kit from your local pharmacist. They give for free, and it only takes a couple of minutes. That's another extra measure, to prevent the spread. On next Tuesday, it's 14th, it's Ekadashi, Mokshada Ekadashi. That is the day when Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra over 5,000 years ago. So we will be reading entire Bhagavad Gita, English translation, 700 verses, starting from 6 p.m. And I understood that devotees were mentioning it is better to read Gita, sit and read Gita 3 hours, then we will understand the entire essence. So it's a good opportunity to come to this program and read all 700 verses in one go. We may take small breaks, couple of minutes breaks here and there, but it was a very good opportunity. So I still remember my first attending my first Gita Jayanti many years ago. It's a wonderful experience reading all 700 verses in English in one sitting. It's amazing experience. So you can pass this message to your near and dear, and ask your friends and family to join as well. This program is going to be online because of the current situation. We are not having this program in the temple, so this will be a online event. So it will be the same Zoom link. The communication will be sent out in the next couple of days. And it is on Tuesdays starting from 6 p.m. onwards, and everyone who attends the Zoom meeting will be given an opportunity to read a Gita. So please take this opportunity to join this event. That's it from our side, and hope to see you on Sunday as well as on Tuesday. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari.